Hi everyone, I'm Billy. I'm one of the librarians at the South Beach Library of the New York Public Library. And it's time to talk about some books, specifically what I'm reading, as well as some recommendations for you for further reading. So before we start, I'd just like to say on behalf of everyone from the South Beach Library that we can't wait to get back into the branch and see everyone. But until that time comes, we're going to do our best to provide some really great virtual programming and book recommendations for you going forward. So, let's get to it and start talking about what we're reading, or what I'm reading, and maybe you can throw down in the comments some things you're reading. We'll get to that later, though. So, first up, A Gentleman in Moscow. And let me just tell you, I started with this one because, maybe no exaggeration here, one of the best books that I've ever read. Well, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's really one of the best books I've ever read. A witty, absolutely character-driven story about a Russian aristocrat by the name of Count Alexander Rostov, who is sentenced to house arrest after the Bolshevik Revolution in 1922 in Russia. This story spans nearly 4 decades and follows our main character as he lives through some of Russia's most tumultuous decades, meeting an eclectic and engaging cast of characters along the way. He has such a witty way of speaking, and the way the Count just kind of rolls with the punches really makes him an incredibly likable and sympathetic character. Really a great book. So let's talk about maybe some read-alikes. Rules of Civility by the same author. Not exactly the same as A Gentleman in Moscow, but same author, same writing style. I've definitely added it to my list. It is now on hold on one of our e-reader apps, and I suggest you do the same. The Secrets We Kept. Same setting and time period, also historical fiction. Definitely worth reading. It's a couple of years old now, so there may not be any, I don't think there's any hold list on it at this point. Lost Roses is another one. So this author wrote The Lilac Girls. You may have read that one as well. This story follows characters whose lives have been upended by the Russian Revolution, much like the Counts were in The Gentleman in Moscow. So give these 3 a try. Next up, The Widow by Fiona Barton. This is definitely a psychological thriller with a well-thought-out plot full of suspense set in England. There's a mysterious death, an unreliable narrator, and a missing child. Pretty much this thriller has it all. And it is available right now on our e-reading app. Some read-alikes to The Widow, and I'm sure a lot of you out there may have read some of these already, maybe not, so I throw them up there for you. The Girl on the Train. It's from 2015 now at this point, about 5 years ago. It's a woman forced to face some truths about the men they married in both these books. Both books are compelling and plotted very well. Every Last Lie. The main character loses her husband in a car crash while her daughter survives unharmed, and eventually she begins to suspect that maybe it wasn't an accident. Again, another unreliable narrator, and you're going to see that's a bit of a theme in a lot of these type of stories. Unreliable narrator, which makes it actually very interesting from the reader's point of view. Next up is What She Knew, also from 2015. Another psychological thriller in which the main character's son disappears. Who is responsible? We don't know. Is it her newly remarried ex-husband, her sister? And eventually, suspicion, of course, turns to our main character. But give those a try if you've liked The Widow or read it and like The Widow. Next up on our list is The Other Miss Miller. I actually did this at a book discussion not that long ago at the Richmond Town Library, and all the people there really liked it. It's a suburban housewife with a seemingly perfect life that eventually becomes entangled in the affairs of her mysterious new neighbors, all the while she has this feeling that somebody is also watching her. Very suspenseful, definitely an unreliable narrator, or narrators, I'll say. And of course, there's murder involved. It's a good one. Some read-alikes for the other Miss Miller. You may have read these. The Wife Between Us was pretty popular when it came out. It's another suspenseful thriller told from the perspective of 3 different characters. All of them, of course, unreliable narrators. It also has a non-linear plot, so it kind of jumps around a bit. Makes for an interesting read. Watching You from 2018, a couple of years ago. It's a murder in one of the fanciest neighborhoods in Bristol, England. Revolves around a local school where everyone has a secret. Got the makings of a good one there. The Woman in the Window, also from 2018, is about a recluse who witnesses a murder through her window. Another unreliable narrator, kind of creepy. Again, getting some weird creepy vibes from this one, but it was a good one. It was a good one. Well worth reading. The next up is a nonfiction book, a memoir, in fact, Hillbilly Elegy by J.D. Vance. It's a thoughtful and engaging memoir about the author's time growing up in the Appalachian region of the United States and all the good and bad that kind of entailed for him, his family, his neighbors. It was a very unique experience for him. He grew up part of the time in Kentucky and part of the time in Ohio. And he really describes in depth growing up in a poor neighborhood with his neighborhoods, in poor neighborhoods with his neighbors and his family, and how important his family was to him growing up with a life like that. He takes those experiences, as well as his ability to overcome some of the worst aspects of those experiences, to kind of critique social policy in the United States today and how maybe we went wrong in trying to address some of the issues in the Appalachian region of the United States. The author does share some political beliefs in the story, but that doesn't take away, in my opinion, at all from his overriding theme and what he's trying to convey. Normally, I like to avoid some political stories, but this is certainly not that. So if you're looking for something that maybe touches on some politics, but really does not really go down that road, it's really just a nice story. Some read-alikes for Hillbilly Elegy. The Glass Castle, forgive me, there's a little typo there. The Glass Castle the author describes her life growing up with an alcoholic father and an eccentric artist mother, living a nomadic lifestyle. And in Educated, it's a memoir that follows the author's life growing up in the mountains of Idaho under difficult circumstances. This book, very popular when it first came out, the physical book. I remember the whole list was very long, so it should have come down by quite a bit now. And it's definitely worth a try. Just one reminder, please tell us what you're reading in the comments below. Maybe we could throw out some other recommendations based on things you've read as well. We're always looking to help people, especially now that we're all kind of stuck at home. A lot of us are stuck at home. We need new things to read, and just know that we're there to help you out with that. So for those of you who may be unfamiliar with our e-readers, there's 3 really good ones that New York Public Library offers. Simply E, Overdrive, and Libby. Now, Libby and Overdrive are kind of the same app. The interface is slightly different, but they offer the same books and audiobooks. Simply E is an NYPL app. There's a lot of other libraries involved with it now as well. So you might get some different selection there. You can go to NYPL's website and search ebooks, and there will be instructions on how to download that. It's available for iOS devices as well as Android devices. Ebooks and e-audiobooks as well, which is kind of neat. I know I use that quite a bit on my commute to the library. Not so much right now, but sometimes it's really neat listening to the author themselves read the book, and it's nice to know that it's also available in electronic formats. If you don't have a library card, the Simply E app, I should say, is allowing you to apply for a card right in the app, as long as you are in New York State. So before we go, I'd just like to take a look at some of the virtual programming we have in store, and that's upcoming at South Beach. Keep in mind these programs do require registration, and that can be done from our website. It is nypl.org/South Beach. You'll get more information there, and you can also register. We have an online book discussion. We have a Spanish language book talk program, and we have a community cafe where all the librarians and the staff at South Beach will get together to kind of answer your questions, and that's going to be done on a weekly basis as well. So please go to the website, check it out. You'll get some more information there. And that's it. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time.